YouTube, my subjects call, gather the men, or bring me to my men, and this action does have my consent. It's just my enemy's army that doesn't have my consent. Not because it's cheeky or anything, just, because they're enemies, right? Anyway, welcome to an online battle. I am actually going to start practicing. I'm going to play in a tournament that's being hosted by our very own Heylow on the Discord. It's coming up next month, I believe, and it's random faction picks. I don't know all the rules yet, but I'm just practicing playing with random factions. I got to make sure I get all of his rules down. Let's take a look at my army, the army of Karl Franz. Yeah, so the random faction picker that I'm using picked me the Empire. So I picked 3 spearmen, 2 flagellants, you can see them here, and I've got in the middle the Sons of Sigmar. For a backline, there's 1 of my spearmen, and I've got 2 handgunners, 1 on either side of my backline, and then in total I've got 4 Empire Knights. And then forward deployed, or Vanguard deployed, I always say forward deployed, it's Vanguard. I've got 2 Outriders. These are just the standard variant. My opponent, and then I've also got a Jade Wizard mounted on a Pegasus. So Karl is on Deathclaw. My opponent has, let's check out his army here so you can see the whole thing. His front line is Blackheart Corsairs, should be well suited to bringing down state troops. He's got Sisters of Slaughter, also very well suited to bringing down state troops. He's got 2 Witch Elves, a good pick for dealing with key units like cavalry or lords, making them go berserk. He's got a sorceress, Lore of Beast, on a cold one, and then Crone Hellebore on some kind of disgusting horse here. You can see Crone Hellebore here, and as far as her abilities go, she's got this Gaze of Cain and Witch Brew, Heroic Killing Blow, Amulet of Dark Fire. So she's rocking some nice buffs there for the army and herself. And then as for the Lore of Beast, Supreme Sorceress, we've got a Transformation of Caden, which can summon a Manticore, and then he's also got the Curse of Anraer and a Dark Star for the recharge rate. So his army is very good at killing low armor infantry. Guess what? I have a lot of very low armor infantry. Don't forget the 2 Dark Riders in the back. So yeah, I've got my work cut out for me here. If I'm going to make my build work, I need to be patient. I need to use these Outriders to harass very valuable units. And Sisters of Slaughter are a very valuable unit in this fight. They have very little resistance to what I'm going to be shooting them with. So I'm going to go ahead and let my opponent approach, try and get a few shots, do a little bit of damage. I might actually be damaging my own men right there. I think I am. I saw an opportunity to get these Blackheart Corsairs with hand bows. They did get a nice volley in on my Jade Wizard, though. But I'm not worried about the Jade Wizard. His job is to just kind of park in the air. These were Witch Elves. I didn't realize it. Charged them with the Empire Knights. I thought I was charging a different unit, so you got to watch those unit banners. That's a mistake. I didn't immediately realize it was Witch Elves. I did go ahead and pull out of combat after causing a lot of damage. So I'm using my Empire Knights to damage his low armor front line while avoiding the engagement momentarily, but I can no longer avoid it because he's hit me with the Feral Manticore. Out here I've got his Dark Riders. One of them is busy chasing an Outrider. The other one got trounced by Empire Knights trying to get Dark Riders. See over here we get tagged by the Witch Elves once again, but I see an opportunity for a quick rear charge here to finish off these Blackheart Corsairs quickly. And then I've got 1 Flagellant free. Over here, I've got the Sons of Sigmar and a Flagellant, so my opponent won't quickly punch through these lines because those units are unbreakable. That was a purposeful pick, as I needed my front line to hold while my handguns are able to do some work. He is pressuring them with his Manticore. I see a good opportunity here to shoot up the Sorceress, Lore of Beast. And then I've got my Empire Knights, and once again, just bad scouting on my part. I should have seen that this was a Witch Elf. I was thinking Blackheart Corsair. I give it a charge, and yes, I do tremendous damage, but my units could very well go berserk, and they're going to get attacked by a Manticore, so that is not going to help me much. Karl Franz, I just dive bomb straight into Crone Hellebore, and I'm buffing with the Shield of Thorns, which is giving me weapon resistance and extra damage, so I can do extra damage to the enemy units while holding longer. You see my Sons of Sigmar actually have some pretty sick stats while that's going on. But Karl starts to get a little overwhelmed here. He uses his Gal Maraz, and he does some extra damage to Crone Hellebore, but he is getting beaten on pretty badly by a Crone Hellebore who has some pretty serious buffs going on right now. Yeah, and over here, my Empire Knights fell victim to some Witch Elves. While I wasn't paying attention, we chased off the Blackheart Corsairs. My guns are still in the background, just trying to take shots at whatever they get the opportunity to. Karl gets out of the fight, and I'm going to use my my mage. I've used Regrowth, which will also give him back his Vigor, which that's a pretty good thing right now. My cavalry ends up getting left in fights for too long, so mistakes on my part. And my opponent's infantry has broken through cleanly. And now my army leaves a big gaping hole in the center. As you all can kind of see the overhead. He's broken through the center, but now I've kind of got this formation around the edge here, right? All I've got left is cavalry, outriders, and my lord. You can see here Crone Hellebore thinking about coming back, probably to go after my gunners, but doesn't end up doing it. My outriders are scoring damage. My handguns have attack orders, and they're going to score some damage, so Crone Hellebore is going to be taking a beating, whereas Karl Franz healed a significant amount. Seeing that my infantry fell, I tried to get some of my cavalry away to safety momentarily. I've still got quite a lot of unbreakable infantry back here with the flagellants. Crone Hellebore just getting savaged by the guns right now. The Sorceress of Beast did get through. I've got more Empire Knights over here trying to tie down yet another Feral Manticore. My opponent really brought the Manticores here. It's an odd pick. I don't see that much. Certainly wouldn't have been expecting it. But now Crone Hellebore is weak and won't be able to defend herself. Karl Franz is going to come in for the kill. He gets a huge charge off and does a ton of damage, immediately routing Crone Hellebore to terror. She takes even more shots. My handguns are now off to the flanks, and my opponent has to deal with some more unbreakable infantry. The Swords of Sigmar Swords Sons, were never defeated. They weren't defeated. My opponent just bypassed them. Here, though, his Witch Elves are pretty quick. They're going to get into my handgunners, but now look at the cavalry and regrouped infantry my opponent has to deal with, all while Crone Hellebore just died and Karl Franz is dive bombing in the midst. The terror will be too much to overcome, and essentially this battle is going to be wrapped up at this point. I just need to finish him off. My opponent's infantry will likely come back from routing. He has forgotten a unit of Black Art Corsairs with handbows. There were some Witch Elves that chased my cavalry and some Dark Riders that he wasn't able to activate, so a mistake on my opponent's part. We both made mistakes here, and if we want to learn from it, I think here's a few of the lessons for me to cover. One, with my cavalry, I brought a lot of cavalry. I have to be more on point with micro. So I should probably challenge myself, if I want to be good at that, to bring the cavalry, get used to microing the cavalry. You got to hit hard on the charge. After about 10 seconds in combat, you back out after the charge, and then you're able to rinse and repeat. Keep the cavalry moving, let the infantry do the holding. The handguns, be a little more careful of protection. They did get some good damage done here, but they also took a lot of damage and could have been able to do more. These handbows, I'm just going to single them out. I singled out the Dark Riders over here. I'm going to shoot the Witch Elves a little before we actually try to engage them. My opponent's infantry regrouped while I was busy elsewhere. He got the handguns. At this point, it's not a huge deal. It just means that he'll get a few more kills before it's over. Sisters of Slaughter are going to come in. These are going to be some fantastic infantry killers, especially at this state in the game. I've got a lot of Sigmar Sons and Flagellants left, though, so my opponent is going to be hard-pressed to defeat all this infantry while fighting off the cavalry and Karl Franz. So after shooting up the Witch Elves a little, they'll be ready for a charge. You can hit them quickly, and then cycle. You can see over here, I'm going to catch these Sisters of Slaughter. Tough unit, so I'm going to hit them hard with a bunch of charges and knock out a whole bunch of their hit points all at once. Sigmar's Sons have actually done really admirably in this battle, and this unit of Flagellants has done fantastic as well. Just went berserk on some Witch Elves that were there, though. My handguns are going to regroup. I've got a full unit of Empire Knights here, ready to charge in. And you can see we're able to clean it up. So, again, lessons learned. I need to be more nimble with my cavalry. Be more on top of the micro. How do you do that? Practice. Get in, pick the cavalry units. There's ways that you can get better at microing cavalry, and it just really probably revolves a lot about practice. There's also kind of tips and tricks. You can use the shift and right-click draw to draw out paths, but you really just got to remember what's important in your army and stay focused on those things. My infantry wasn't really the damage dealers here, and I did spend some time clicking orders with my infantry and all that stuff, which is important, but really my cavalry and Karl were the damage dealers. The handguns were backup damage dealers in case there were monsters. Those were kind of like my anti-large ticket there between Karl and the handguns, anti-large. As for my opponent, I think that his army could potentially be pretty challenging for certain Empire armies, right? He had a ton of good state troop killers with the Blackheart Corsairs. What I did to throw a kink into that, because I know that the Dark Elves can do that, is I brought the Unbreakable units so that he wouldn't be able to take advantage of how quickly that army could otherwise punch through just regular swordsmen and spearmen. Because I could have brought more of those, but there was a reason why I spent more and got the Unbreakable units. So hopefully that makes sense. It ended up working out for me here. My opponent made some mistakes I was able to capitalize on. I made some mistakes that my opponent was able to capitalize on. Get rid of some of my cavalry, but we were able to do the job here. So I do this sometimes where I'll pick cavalry against a faction that I know can challenge it. The Dark Elves can certainly challenge it. They've got the Cold One Riders, I think, or Cold One Spear Riders. I forget exactly which one goes to which faction, but they've got a unit that can challenge the Empire Knights. It's just not a typical pick for the Dark Elves, and so my challenge here was, would my opponent pick something to handle 4 units of armored cavalry? And if he brought crossbows, can he protect them from 4 units of armored cavalry while getting shot by outriders? But having 6 infantry units, still enough infantry that my opponent has to keep an eye on them. And also, if he has crossbows, what do? Do they watch out for the cavalry? Do they shoot at Carl? Do they shoot at my handguns? I'm just trying to make things more difficult for what I think to be a somewhat feasible Dark Elf pick. But, you never know. The opponent could surprise me. I had my own missile cavalry in case the Dark Elf player brought missile cavalry. So I was trying to prepare for different eventualities. That's all you can do. The tournament's random. You have to get your faction picked at random, and so I'm going to keep doing this. Go in, let the faction picker pick a faction for me. No matter what my opponent chooses, I'm going with that faction, and we'll just see how it works out. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll be back with some more Archaon campaign soon. I am taking Valentine's Day off, so be aware of that. No video on there won't be a video on... There may be a video on Valentine's Day because I'll be recording the Wednesday before that. But Friday would probably be the day when there's not going to be a video until late at night, because I will have not worked on Valentine's Day. And of course, I have a day job, so I can't do it during the day. Anyway, keep an eye out for it. I will have content coming your way. Hope to see you soon. HeirofCarthage, signing out.